Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 5:34. And the Rolling Stones of Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
What do you think the weather's going to be like today?
Let me tell you what the weather's going to be like today, Steve. It's going to be a mix of sun and clouds early today, and then becoming cloudy through the afternoon. High of 52 tonight. Rain's possible, maybe even turning to snow.
What?
Yeah, I know. Low of 35, and then for tomorrow, morning showers and partly cloudy in the afternoon. A high of 51. I got 30 degrees right now in downtown Springfield.
We got all kinds of guests this morning, or two anyway.
We got that guy from Agawam who was just on Jeopardy and it didn't
lost.
Well, you know, it got a little sticky, and so we'll talk to Joe Lancour a little bit later on today.
And we'll also be talking to Therese Ross from Rick's Place about 8:45 this morning. Talking about the big 5K coming up at Minnetonka High School at the end of the month.
And there's other stuff, too. It's not just that stuff. I mean, we got other stuff planned. I mean, it's like rested everything on just those two things.
You know what I saw coming through downtown Springfield today? This is how bad things have gotten. That Rhode Island needs to advertise for us to come to them. There was a big billboard that said, Rhode Island, the big beer festival coming next weekend.
They probably wrote that out for you.
Probably.
Yeah.
They probably knew.
Bax and Nagle of Rock 102.
Everyone has a project they want to finish.
Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 5:51, and Fleetwood Mac with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
It's going to be cloudy today with a high of 52. Tomorrow, rain and maybe even some snow with a high of 48. It's 30 right now in downtown Springfield.
Hollywood Trash is brought to you by Western Mass Masons. Call them for all your foundation and chimney needs.
Somehow you still care about what's happening in Hollywood. So, from Tinseltown, 3,000 miles away, it's Steve Nagle's Hollywood Trash.
I would guess that the paparazzi are the most annoying thing about being famous.
That's how I felt it to be. All the paparazzi following me around all day.
But once you let them go, once you let them get to you, they've won. And that's what happened to Justin Bieber yesterday in Palm Springs. He was heading into a coffee shop with friends when one photographer said, "Good morning," and that set him off. He said, quote, "No, not good morning. You already know. Why are you here?" Then he told them that all they care about is money, not human beings, and he kept repeating the word money over and over and over again. Justin wasn't completely unhinged or incensed the way an Alec Baldwin or a Mel Gibson might get, but he was still creating the best kind of content for them. As you may recall, Justin recently posted this: "I got anger issues too, but I want to grow and not react so much. Shake my head." Is that what SMH stands for? Shake my head?
I believe so, yes.
I guess he's a work in progress. Well, I mean, how do these people make money, like a lot of money, by getting a shot of somebody going into a coffee shop? Like, are we still at that point with everybody who's got cameras and, you know?
If you've got someone who's in the middle of what seems to be some sort of very public breakdown, the way Justin Bieber appears to have been over like the last 2 months or so, yeah, people will spend money to get that picture.
Which is kind of dumb because...
It's kind of sick when you think about it.
But it's kind of dumb because you got all these people who are just regular people now who just whip out their phones and start snapping pictures. They don't get paid for that stuff. They put it up on social media. The thing goes viral and nobody's getting paid for that.
Oh, I know.
Amy Lou Wood from The White Lotus has been getting attention for her gapped front teeth, but it's making her a bit sad. Quote, "It makes me really happy that it's symbolizing rebellion and freedom, but there's a limit. The whole conversation is just about my teeth. I'm not getting to talk about my work." They think that they think it's nice because they're not criticizing, and I have to go there. I don't know if it was a man we would be talking about this much. Is it still going on about a woman's appearance? In related news, fans think there might be a feud between Amy Lou and Walton Goggins. We talked about him yesterday.
Right.
They don't follow each other on Instagram, and they posted tributes to their characters' love story without tagging each other.
Yeah, I watched the show, and Walton Goggins got a good set of teeth on him too. But as good of an actress as she is, and she's a very attractive woman, I sometimes can't help but look at the teeth and say, what's going on with them teeth? I don't feel good about the fact I can identify that. And I don't know if it has anything to do with the woman, her being a woman, but I do think it has something to do with the fact that
Does it change the character of the show?
I don't think the teeth have anything to do with the character.
Yeah.
But you do tend to. It's like if you had a mole on your face.
Well, I mean,
and the only thing I could look at is the milk dud that's hanging off your off that coconut.
David Letterman, for years, he embraced that gap in his teeth.
This is more than just a gap, though. These are teeth going all over the place.
He has a slight overbite.
It's almost Freddie Mercury-like, and people didn't let that go either.
They still haven't let that go.
They're still talking about his teeth.
Yeah. Is the snake semen concoction that Jessica Simpson uses on her throat just snake oil?
It's one way of putting it.
Sometimes I have to stop and go, I can't believe I'm even reading this out of a Hollywood report.
But imagine the person that had to write it down the first time.
Zoologist Jay Brewer from the Roku channel showed Reptile Royalty highly doubts that it's doing anything for her, and it sounds like he doesn't think whatever she's drinking contains snake juice in the first place, mainly because it's hard to get in any significant amount from a snake. Has he tried?
You really got to coax the snake. There's got to be dinner and dancing.
Are you going to come to my house on the Cape on the weekend? Make sure you wear a blazer so we can go to a wider range of restaurants.
I mean, the snake has to be well hydrated.
But Jessica's going to keep...
I hear that eating pineapple helps.
Yeah. Ooh, that's how they know. That's how the snakes know when you have the upside down pineapple. There's a party going on. But Jessica's going to keep on chugging. She says, quote, I mean, it just really clears my throat. I'm just a great singer when I have snake sperm. Wow. Good for her.
I have things in my head that, of course, I don't want to say, but I do want to say, but I've chosen not to say them.
I'm kind of wondering if, like, she ever throws a Halloween party, is every guy going to show up like a python? You know?
I'd show up like a real rattler.
Yeah. A popular gamer named Rachel Hofstetter, who goes by Valkyrie, got to make a quick cameo in the Minecraft movie. But her scene was cut, and she thinks it's because she spoke out about Jason Momoa's on-set behavior. Last September, Rachel said on a podcast that she saw Jason getting really upset and yell at crew members for doing something wrong. All things considered, she's not too upset. She said, I would much rather not have 30 seconds than be sued, so it's all good. Why would you be sued if you said something that was true?
Well, maybe they just want that information out there.
It was really a wonderful 10 days in New Zealand for that 30 seconds, and I'm glad I got to visit New Zealand. I feel like things could have been so much worse.
I guess. But, did she start talking about this film, like, after it was edited and everything?
Yeah, you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah,
she was talking about the on-set behavior. She could have come out with that after she made the cut for the movie.
See, that's kind of the thing. It's like a timing issue, whether this was an intentional cut. Because I know a lot of people have been in movies, and those scenes never saw the light of day for time reasons or continuity issues.
The scenes never saw the light of day, and frankly, it wasn't like anything horrible. It wasn't like he was accused of doing something horrible. He had a meltdown.
He's an actor.
You know what? If you're like working 12 to 15 hours a day, and then all of a sudden you start snapping, that's kind of understandable.
That's just being a human being.
I mean, it depends. I mean, obviously, if you're going into like an assault thing or something like that, that's different.
Or you like you take a prop gun and you shoot, say, someone in the face. That's something different.
But I've had plenty of bad days here. Believe me, I've had plenty of bad days here.
I got 30 years of bad days.
30 years? That's how long you've been here?
Yeah, it surprises me, too.
Kim Kardashian was reportedly spotted eating at an L.A. noodle bar recently, where she was caught slurping a long white noodle that was dangling out of her mouth.
She must have something to say.
Oh, my God, the last time I slurped up something long and white was that hanging out of my mouth was when AJ used my soup cooler as a dong spittoon in that sex tape you can purchase on YouPorn for $39.95.
Fuck to her.
Spit on that thing.
Caitlin?
I call it spaghetti and skeet balls. Abadonza. I never got that done dirty with your mother, Chris Kim, but we once had a relaxing weekend watching our favorite classic shows.
Oh, what'd you see?
Well, first we watched the one about the couple of Muppet bachelors of undisclosed sexual orientation who share bedroom adventures together, and that would be Mess on Me Street, starring Spurt and Ernie. Then we watched the comedy that takes place at a radio station where a wacky gynecologist moonlights as a disc jockey, Dr. Johnny Beaver at WCNT in Cincinnati. Did you ever see WCNT in Cincinnati?
No, I haven't. What else did you watch?
And finally, it was time for the one where Dong Johnson plays Spummy Rocket, a grizzled undercover detective who tastes his fingers whenever he's suspicious of prostitution in our favorite cop show, Miami Slice. All right, you're coming with me. And sometimes, oh, sorry, man, you're not a prostitute, but you're still coming with me. I think we broke this bit.
I don't know. I think you're just getting started.
And that's your Hollywood Trash on Rock 102.
Is that grinding noise?
Roofing.com.
And now, Bax's View from the Couch, brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware, Benjamin Moore Paint, Cabot Stains, plus rock-solid painting advice and expertise.
Hey, good morning, sports fans. How the heck are you? Folks, if you'll indulge me while I step away from the everyday standard presentation of this award-winning radio feature, I would like to make a public service announcement instead. As you know, this Saturday was to have been the victory celebration for the Yukon women's basketball team in their 12th national championship. Celebration was to have begun on Saturday morning at 11:30 in Hartford. Well, I hope none of you made any plans, because I regret to inform you that due to the threat of inclement weather, the victory parade has now been moved to Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock. According to the forecast, the city of Hartford has expected showers early in the morning, turning to steady rain later in the day. You can expect an 80% chance of rain with potentially heavy showers with steady northeasterly winds reaching anywhere between 10 to 15 miles an hour, with temperatures dipping down in the low 40s. Our extended weather forecast is calling for a 50% chance of light rain to continue early Sunday morning, but you can look for otherwise cloudy skies with temperatures in the low 50s by the afternoon. Now, just like I predicted on Saturday, the parade will begin at the Capitol building at 1 at Trinity and Elm. Parade then shoots north to the Memorial Arch, takes a right at Jewel to Trumbull, bangs a left towards Asylum Street to the XL Center. Why they're not taking Trinity to Ford past the intersection of Pearl onto Asylum, or take Jewel to Uccello to hit Asylum Street without even stepping foot on Trumbull, I will never even know. But no one bothers to ask my opinion on how to get around. Either way, I thought you should know about the changes. That way you can make proper arrangements to reschedule your binge drinking and vandalism activities accordingly, since you now have a full extra day to plan ahead. Either way, you might want to take an umbrella and be prepared to dress warmly out there just in case. We'll take a look at the 5-day forecast coming up in just a bit. But hey, enough of my yapping. Sports brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware. You know, when we're talking green grass, the name Scott should be the first thing that pops into your head. Scott's 4-Step, Scott's Turf Builder. You got to go to Rocky. Spend $150 on any Scott's product. You got $25 in bonus rewards. Details at any Rocky store or at Rockies.com. I'm Bax. That's my view from the couch.
Rock 102, Springfield.
Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock at 6:14, and Billy Idol with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
It is going to be cloudy today with a high of 52. Tomorrow, mix of rain and possibly snow.
I don't understand any of this.
Oh, we saw it the other day. There was snow coming. Remember that we were looking out the window here, and there was snowflakes coming down, and my car was covered.
Yeah, and it was gone as fast as it came. But I'm hoping that's the same situation here.
It's 30 right now in downtown Springfield.
It is a Thunderbird Thursday. We'll have tickets for Friday's game against Belleville, and also Joe Lancour, who was just recently on Jeopardy and did not win, will be joining us after 8 o'clock. It's actually a pretty interesting story about how it all fell apart.
We talk about, later on this morning at about 8:45, we're going to talk about grief, with Therese Ross from Rick's Place and all the great things that organization does. Did you ever have like a conversation with some people or even one person about the death of another person, and then things just get wildly inappropriate?
You mean like just the conversation about the person who died?
Yeah. And I had this conversation with some friends of mine the other day via text. We have a group text going. There was some buddies of mine from when I was up in Syracuse.
Right.
I got some buddies up there. We get together like once a year and we do something, for like a weekend or whatever.
Sure.
And we have been planning this weekend coming up in August, starting last year, and now we've, kind of added another guy into this whole thing. So it's like a foursome of dudes.
Oh, really?
For the weekend.
That's going to be wild.
But I was on Facebook the other day, and I see this post from a former classmate about another former classmate, a beautiful young lady who died. She died. She was only 45 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know her that well, but I knew, who she was, and she was always very friendly and things like that. So I was kind of shocked because, you're always in shock when somebody who, looks pretty healthy, passes away. And,
sure.
It's especially at the age of 45. And so I went on the group text and I said, hey, how did she pass away? Right? And then my other friend says, well, it was cardiac arrest. And then he goes, that's why I'm always at the cardiologist. My wife doesn't want me to die, but I keep telling her I got to die before our life insurance plan expires. Make sure you get that money out there.
That's why the term or whole life makes such a big difference.
And then he starts going into talking about he had AFib and he had to go for one of those ablation things. And all that stuff. And then and I said, I was talking about the exercise and all this other stuff. And then finally, another friend of ours chimes in and goes, guys, my brother-in-law just passed away last week.
Really?
From a cardiac event. And in the same time, our big friend, the big guy, right? He starts talking about the Red Sox game that we're going to in August, going, hey, how big were these people in 1920? Because I'm looking at the size of the seats, and it only says 15 inches. I'm going to need at least 20. I don't think we can go to this. And then he starts talking about how he stress eats all the time, and he doesn't, he's so busy with the family that he doesn't have time to do exercise and all this other stuff. And the other two are going back and forth about, size and heart issues and then food. And I said, God, and I chimed in and I said, guys, he just told us his brother-in-law died, and we're talking about food. You guys are savages. And then I added, by the way, what kind of food will they be serving at the wake? And then the big guy goes, do they have pasta? Because I love pasta. I clearly love pasta.
Funeral parlors could do such great business if there was a pasta bar along with the showing of the body.
Well, we all know what happens at the funeral home. We're talking about the after party, the one where they take you to a restaurant. If they,
that's different.
Yeah,
Sure.
like a bougie restaurant. Are you going to go to a bougie restaurant, or are we going to go to an Elks Club for the afternoon? Like, what I want to know details about this. But it just turned into this completely insensitive conversation. When meanwhile, this poor guy's brother-in-law just passed away. His wife's grieving. It's pretty hard. But sometimes you just got to make a joke.
Well, sometimes that dark humor is very healing in a way.
Yeah.
You're telling me that the ones in that conversation that were, in mourning didn't somehow appreciate the idea of having pasta after a funeral? You're telling me that didn't even occur to them, or they didn't appreciate the fact that there was some sort of
some meal served,
some meal preparation.
Snacks.
Like they were talking about something else, maybe a distracting conversation.
Yeah,
I would have been very thankful for that.
I know. I just thought it was kind of funny that three dudes, and then the conversation ended with, again, what about the people of 1920? Were they that small? And then the other friend goes, yeah, they were definitely a lot smaller back in the day. But no condolences to the man who just lost his brother-in-law. It was more about the food and the size of the seats at Fenway Park.
Yeah. Sorry about your loss. Do you have a yardstick?
Yeah, right.
I can borrow?
Yeah, is there any way we can get bleacher seats instead? My fat ass can't fit in those tiny ones.
Have to kind of squeeze in sideways to enjoy the game.
Yeah. So there you go. That was my little anecdote about grief.
It's 6:20 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Sweetie, come here. Don't worry.
It's 6:28 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Dan Brown has the full forecast for you.
Hey, this Sunday on Baxy's Musical Fun Bag, I got music from The Damned, The Smiths, Blondie, Talking Heads, X, and more. It's all brought to you by Raspberries Records. And the reason I'm bringing this up is this weekend, Saturday, is Record Store Day. Both locations in East Longmeadow and in Ludlow, 8 to 5. They're going to have Record Store Day, 20% off everything in the, well, not everything in the store, vinyl and CDs and cassettes. 20% off.
Sweet.
Voted the Valley's best record store, Raspberries Records in East Longmeadow and in Ludlow. And again, Baxy's Musical Fun Bag, Sunday nights, 9 o'clock here on Rock 102.
I'll have to take a gander over there and see what they got going on.
I love going over there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You in there all the time?
Not all the time, but it was like, I got a haircut last week. Had some time to kill, went in the store, and spent a good 45 minutes thumbing through records.
Is he one of those guys where you go in and you're like, I'm sorry, do you have this record called I Just Called to Say I Love You by Stevie Wonder? And then the guy starts yelling at you. You're like, there's no way you like that song. There's no.
No, he's not one of them judgmental record store guys.
Yeah.
Like I remember.
Yeah.
No, he's if he's got it, he's going to take you over there and say, here it is for you. And he'll that's the kind of service you can expect from Raspberries Records. 2 locations, Ludlow and East Longmeadow.
Well, there you go. Are you ready to laugh?
I'm ready to laugh.
All right, let's laugh.
It's Bax and Nagle's Joke of the Day
I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown. I amuse you.
on Rock 102,
I make you laugh.
Springfield's classic rock.
This happened a couple of weeks ago. A kid comes running into the kitchen and he says, Mom, Dad just hanged himself in the bathroom. And the mother goes into a panic. She starts crying. She's rushing to the bathroom. She opens the door and nobody's there. She's like, what are you talking about? He goes, April Fools. He hung himself in the garage.
That kid,
See?
he's a caution.
He's good at April Fool's jokes. That's for sure.
yeah.
There you go.
Bax and Nagle in the morning on Rock 102, Springfield's classic rock.
Here's your
6:33 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102. It's time for news brought to you by Yankee Home Improvement. If you're thinking about a new walk-in shower system, call Yankee Home and mention Rock 102. Get $1,021 off, plus 50% off installation all month long. Here's local radio icon Steve Nagle.
Thanks, Bax. A second man was in Chicopee District Court Wednesday morning in connection with a deadly hit-and-run crash back in February. Jarameldo Lopez is charged with 2 felonies, leaving the scene of a personal injury and death and a negligent operation of a motor vehicle. The judge entered a not guilty plea on his behalf. At Chicopee District Court on Wednesday morning, the Commonwealth requested a $30,000 cash bail and condition for no driving. The defense stated that Lopez is working and living paycheck to paycheck compared to the bail of Tuesday's arraignment with the other suspect, Levanta Williams Jr., which the judge decided to be $2,500. Williams is charged with leaving the scene of a personal injury and death. However, his lawyer said there are many issues with the case and said in an interview that after the arraignment that his client is cooperating with law enforcement and tried to do what was right that night by stopping and flagging down people for help. The victim, 34-year-old Vanessa Perez, was not only struck by a sedan allegedly driven by Williams, but a separate vehicle before. Through the investigation, it was revealed that earlier on, a little further up the road, Ms. Perez had been struck by a Ford F-550 with essentially a V-shaped plow. Police were able to learn that through the city surveillance system. There is surveillance video of the vehicle striking Ms. Perez as she crossed Abbey Memorial Drive along Broadway. It's got a horrible accident.
That's
Horrible.
terrible.
The prosecution showed that the video to the judge in court on Wednesday morning. His attorney is also saying that Lopez's license has already been suspended. The judge ordered a $10,000 cash bail, and he is not allowed to operate a vehicle. Where's this one? Driver and passenger were arrested during a traffic stop in Springfield after state police found a large machete and loaded firearm.
Steve, I believe that's pronounced machete.
Hey, you can say it however you want it, but that's not a knife. This is a knife.
I don't know why. 'Cause, I mean, as far as I'm aware, there's no like sugarcane fields anywhere here in Western Mass, so I don't even know why you have a machete.
A machete.
It's a machete.
Sure, whatever you want to call it.
It's a machete.
In a news release from the Mass State Police, troopers pulled over a vehicle for a license plate violation last week. When they approached the vehicle, they observed a passenger adjust a duffel bag on her lap and turn away from the troopers. They instructed her to get out of the vehicle due to the uncertainty of the weapon. The troopers frisked the woman and found no weapons on her or in the bag. However, they found a large machete next to the passenger seat.
Steve, that's pronounced machete.
Whatever you want to call it. I know you went to a different college than I did, and I know that they teach different ways to enunciate things.
Yeah, that's not a word I learned in college.
Machete.
I learned that much sooner than that.
A search of the vehicle revealed a fully loaded revolver under the driver's seat. Both the driver and passenger were arrested as neither had a license to carry a firearm. What about a machete license?
Steve, I'm starting to think that perhaps you don't know machete from Shinola.
I do not know my machete from Shinola. I better be careful how I say, because we might have to push that button again today.
2 days in a row?
Because I said City of Spring. I was trying to say Springfield.
Right, but then it just came out
But
wrong.
it came out wrong, and it's on the podcast. You can go listen to it. Unedited.
I once said that about the city of Chicago. Now I just say Chicago to avoid any mispronunciation.
Chicago, that toddling town.
That's right.
Yeah.
But that's not how it came out that one day.
Right.
Kind of like when I talked about Eagles bass player Timothy B. Schmidt. That came out wrong one day, too.
Oh, yeah, I can see that happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you why.
I see what you did. Now, let's not try to lead ourselves back into that conundrum where we mispronounce something.
Yeah.
Like machete.
Machete.
Whatever. A 22 News viewer caught a bear on camera that pulled the railing off a deck to get to the trash. These bears are savages.
No kidding. Must have been something. What was in the trash?
Well, that's what I want to know. You know, I mean, you're basically you're offering up a contract to a bear if you leave something good in that trash, and they can smell that from miles away. They get a whiff of something, a rotisserie chicken from Costco, the leftover bones.
All right, but at that point, you can't blame the bear. Those things smell delicious.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. Caressa Kowal of Granby sent a screen recording of her surveillance camera that shows Wednesday at 1:53 a.m. with the outdoor lights on and the black bear just on the other side of the deck railing. It first shows the bear poking its paws through the railing post at the trash can. If you turn the volume up, then hear as the bear stands on its hind legs rattling the trash can. Oh, like he's from Bringing the Funk, Bringing the Noise.
Right.
Trying to pick up the bag through the posts. Its paws even thump as it moves across the railing and then yanks on it a few times before breaking the entire piece off.
Now, when you turn up the volume and you listen to what is actually going on in this video, do you hear at any point, Yogi, the ranger, isn't going to like this?
I don't think you've heard that. But she said, while my husband is going to need to replace it, it was amazing seeing wildlife in New England. I bet you if you asked the husband, he was like, yeah, you know how much lumber is right now? You know what we're going to have to do?
Plus, I got to pick up all the trash that this bear spread all over the backyard.
Take a whole Saturday. I got to replace that entire rail of deck, all because of this one bear, because you left the trash out.
Yeah, and it's Trex, and it's Trex decking. That stuff is very expensive per board.
Yeah, and then they start arguing back and forth. Now, you were supposed to take the trash out with you to work the last time when you left the house. Oh, no, I don't. Yeah. I told you not to leave it out there because you knew the bear was going to come by, and now he completely ruined the deck, and here I am having to spend my whole weekend trying to rebuild our dream home.
You know, I'm so glad that in Hamden, I have a private trash removal service.
Yeah.
No bear could ever possibly get into one of those big, giant receptacles and start poking through that garbage.
And meanwhile, they had the bear for comment. He's like, the trash smelled like bacon-wrapped divorce in that house. That's why I did it.
It's served in a picnic basket.
I'm trying to bring them together by having them do a weekend project with each other.
That's why I've agreed to participate in their marriage counseling.
And you know what? Frankly, that deck needed to be replaced. I've taken dumps in the woods that were classier than this backyard.
I just stained that wood, too.
This was me rescuing the trash from the horrible life it was suffering under your deck.
Oh, boy.
Let's see. As the retrial of Karen Reed gets underway, there is a renewed interest in the lead investigator in the case, Michael Proctor, Mr. Texter. While some wonder whether he will be called to testify in the second trial, others question if he should be allowed to work in law enforcement in the future. Proctor was dishonorably discharged from the Mass State Police in March after a trial board found that he had violated agency rules when he sent derogatory text messages about Reed and shared sensitive and confidential details with non-law enforcement personnel. But Michael Proctor is still certified to work in law enforcement in Massachusetts. The Post Commission, who oversees allegations of police misconduct, an individual must be certified by Post to be hired or actively employed by a law enforcement officer in Massachusetts. Post will automatically suspend the certification of an officer who has been arrested, charged, or indicted for a felony. Michael Proctor was not criminally charged, and his certification remains intact, meaning he can seek new employment in a law enforcement agency in Massachusetts. 22 News reached out to Post Commission to learn what happens if an officer is fired from a law enforcement agency for non-criminal incident. If the commission determines by a preponderance of the evidence that the suspension is in the best interest of the health, safety, or welfare of the public, the commission may suspend the certification of the officer pending a preliminary inquiry, Post Commission spokesman Aaliyah Spriggs said. It's kind of, I mean, what is the real punishment there? I mean, it's not like, I don't know. It's not like
Well, what are you trying to say?
I think there's different degrees of incompetence and you know, there are people who make mistakes that shouldn't have made a mistake and then get suspended for that, or they get relieved of their duties, which, depending on how bad the incident was, doesn't mean you should be barred from employment for the rest of your life in something that you got certified in.
In some circumstances, I think that's true, but I think it depends on the case. In this situation, I think he seriously damaged the reputation of not just himself, but of the state police investigators.
And that's what I'm getting at. Like, why wouldn't you bar somebody from, you know, they barred doctors for lesser offenses from prescribing the wrong medication or something that was seemingly may have been a mistake. You still get your license ripped from you because you have to be, I don't know.
In this situation, even if the state police did nothing wrong, let's say hypothetically that they conducted themselves professionally. This guy stains that entire investigation because all of a sudden, based upon those texts and his testimony, now you've got reasonable doubt as to how well they actually served this investigation.
And not only this investigation, but now you've discredited yourself because there was other investigations that you were a part of. You know, people think like the cops only get one case that they're working on. They're working on multiple cases sometimes. Now you've compromised those other cases that you've been in because nobody's going to take you seriously because you did this kind of stuff.
Well, thankfully, this is the very first time there's ever been any question about the state police here in Massachusetts. I mean, there's been no level of criticism about that organization at all, ever.
Bad texters. Why don't they just use Snapchat? The messages disappear.
They don't disappear. They stay in there.
Yeah, but I bet you they would have been harder to find.
I don't know.
Look at this. She ain't got no ass, and there's no nudes in there either.
That's probably not appropriate for law enforcement investigations to consider. We think she's innocent, Your Honor, because she's got no ass. She may be hot, but she's got no ass.
We thought she was hot, and then we saw there was no nudes. Case dismissed.
We're not going to charge her with anything.
Your Pioneer Valley forecast today is going to be cloudy with a high of 52. Tomorrow, mix of rain and possibly snow with a high of 48. It's 30 right now in downtown Springfield. I'm Steve Nagle, and that's the news on Rock 102. Oh, yeah.
Quiet, please. You hear that?
Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 6:53 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
It is going to be Cloudy today with a high of 52. Tomorrow, mix of rain and a little bit of snow with a high of 48. It's 30 right now in downtown Springfield.
Very, very busy show today. It's a Thunderbird Thursday. We got tickets to Friday's game against Belleville, plus a bunch of other great stuff to go along with the 4-pack of tickets we're going to give away. We've also got tickets to see Vintage Skinnerd at 52 Sumner. They're going to be there this weekend. And also Joe Lancour from Agawam is a guy that was just recently on Jeopardy. He did not win, but he is going to be here to talk about his experience on Jeopardy.
Yes.
Hanging out with Ken Jennings and losing on national television.
Well, hey, listen, to get on the show takes a lot of wit and smarts to be even to get to the big dance.
Well, it's like I said the other day when we talked about this. There are no losers. They're just people that don't win.
Right.
That's it. Mm-hmm. He just didn't win. That's it.
And the article that I shared with you, it was like an abnormally hard board.
Yes.
Is that just an excuse for people to say, yeah, I'm really not that?
Well, I couldn't have answered. I looked at those questions. I couldn't have answered them either.
Do we have anything to give away or anything?
Well, we could do the.
Well, no. Which one? What are we doing? Which one?
Well, we could do the Vintage Skinnerd or the Thunderbird ones.
I think we should do the Vintage Skinnerd.
Okay, let's do that.
Well, let's wait for a second because I just want to play this for you real quick. If I could have some audio here on my board.
All right.
A man in Georgia called 911 earlier this year after his wife saw someone snooping around their house, and in the middle of the call, he heard the dispatcher ordering a McGriddle from McDonald's. Here's the call.
My wife called me while I was at work at about 9:30 and said someone was snooping around the house, knocking on the doors, banging on the windows and stuff. I was panicking because my wife is home alone with my 5-month-old daughter, and I was coming home not knowing what I was going to come home to.
McGriddle? Sorry, what?
That should never happen. Your ordering breakfast should be different from your answering a call, and the two should never intertwine.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're being murdered right now? Could I have 2 Egg McMuffins, please, and a hash brown?
And can I have a Shamrock Shake?
Yeah.
Sorry, machine's busted.
Make sure you give your drive-through code at the window to get the discount.
All right, second window, please.
Yeah. What's your discount? 91111.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you're hungry.
Hey, listen. Yeah, you ever been at work and you're just dying for something to eat?
Yeah.
And you only wish that we could order out. I wish we could order out. How come we don't get any McGriddles?
Dude, I'm not. After that guy, at that video I saw, that guy with the DoorDash and who's sticking his fingers in the food. No thanks.
All right, that's one guy out of a million.
I'd rather trust a direct restaurant that does delivery than the third party that might be rifling through your food. That's kind of gross.
Well, the food was made by hand, right?
I guess so, but still.
I don't know.
Anyway.
All right, anyway. Vintage Skinnerd is coming to 52 Sumner on Saturday. It's going to be a great show. A lot of great shows coming to 52 Sumner in Springfield. 10th caller right now at 293-1021 wins a pair of tickets. Good luck on Rock 102.
Caller. And now, Bax's View from the Couch. Brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware, Benjamin Moore Paint, Cabot Stains, plus rock-solid painting advice and expertise.
Hey, good morning, sports fans. How the heck are you? Folks, like many of you, I'm a human being. A human being filled with the same emotions and insecurities as the next guy. Oh, sure, I can be prone to occasional fits of rage. I can be prone to periodic fits of envy. And of course, there's nothing more satisfying than to take those powerful emotions and turn them into an exacting burst of hyperfixated vengeance. Man, that's satisfying stuff. Why am I telling you this? That's my business. However, elements of this sort of thing can be felt last night in Dallas when the Dallas Mavericks hosted the Los Angeles Lakers for the first time since making the single dumbest trade in NBA history when they traded away superstar Luka Doncic to the Lakers for Anthony Davis, a bag of donuts, some loose change, and some CVS extra bucks. Last night before the game, the Mavericks welcomed Luka back with an emotional video presentation highlighting all his impressive achievements in a Dallas uniform during his young career. Luka, who was consumed with emotions, sat with his tear-filled face buried in a towel as the crowd warmly welcomed him back home. Oh, it was emotional. It was touching. And And that's when Luka went on to score 45 points in a 112-97-point blowout of his former team. 45 points, including 7 threes, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, and 4 steals. As if to say, hey, it's great to be back. Now go F yourselves. Folks, this is the kind of spiteful vengeance that every man, woman, and child in America would love to experience at least once in their lifetime. Yet, from the outside looking in, I couldn't help but feel a little jealous of the sheer magnitude of that sort of thing. It was nothing but a cold-hearted punch to the junk, like quitting your job after you won the lottery or hooking up with a supermodel after getting dumped by your loser ex-girlfriend. So congratulations to Luka Doncic for making his former team look like the biggest collection of short-sighted douchebags in NBA history, because that had to feel fantastic. But hey, enough of my yapping. Sports brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware. You know, John is a man with an eye for color. John's the paint advisor at the Island Pond Rockies. He matches paints and stain colors all day long. A true partner in your painting projects. Good people like John and rock-solid service at every Rocky's Ace Hardware. I'm Bax. That's my view from the couch.
Rock 102.
Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 7:10 and Van Halen with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
It's going to be cloudy today with a high of 52. Tomorrow, mix of sun and clouds. Could see some rain and snow showers with a high of 48. It's 30 right now in downtown Springfield. I cannot wait to go on vacation. I'm going to be on vacation starting tomorrow after the show.
Yeah, which means, for those of you who are wondering, well, what is Bax going to do all next week?
I don't really care.
I know you don't care.
Yeah.
I don't really care that much either, because it's going to be a best of Bax and Nagle, and I'm going to be going through the motions for 5 straight days.
Just going through the motions.
That's it, man.
There you go.
Going through the motions.
I just, it's this time of year where it's like, we're still getting snow. And granted, it's not like a snowstorm, but it's snow. It's like it doesn't belong here right now.
Yesterday, I had to put gasoline in my car, and
what do you normally put in there?
Soup.
Oh, well, that usually works.
Anyway, I'm putting gas in my car, and I'm pumping the tank, and I'm pumping it hard, and I'm freezing my ass off. And a buddy of mine pulls up right behind me. He's like, "Can you believe how damn cold it is?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's freezing cold." And I'm pumping gas, and in the beginning of April, it should be at least 10, 15 degrees warmer than it is. And then you see in the forecast there's more snow. Well, it's like Mother Nature's a jerk. Just can't make up her mind.
Why are you pumping your own gas?
Because I don't live in New Jersey.
You got a wife at home. She can take the car out later on when she gets home from work and go fill up both tanks for you.
Yeah, that's a good. I can see that going over very well. Hello, dear. I'm so glad you came home from a full day of educating children. Yeah. Take my keys and fill up the gas tank, would you please?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And make my dinner.
What's the function of the wife if she's not doing the things that traditionally wives do?
Yeah.
Making coffee. We just watched that coffee commercial the other day with the Maxwell house. Woman, make this man a cup of coffee.
Hon, your coffee is terrible.
Well, I don't know, Bax. I can see who wears the pants in that relationship.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I'm home for much of the day, and even though yesterday was a busy day, I had time to go to the bank and to the gas station.
Ooh,
and
wow! Look at you with
CVS.
All that free time.
And a CVS.
Oh, and a CVS. Did you pick up prescriptions?
I did.
Yeah?
Yeah, and I got a coffee.
Ooh. Did you get extra long receipt tape?
As far as the eye could see, at least 15 feet of receipt.
Well, that's pretty cool.
But the fact of the matter is, it's just too damn cold on April 10th.
I spent almost 3 hours at a softball game out in Westfield yesterday. It was freezing out.
3 hours for a softball game?
Yeah, it was a little lopsided, but
wasn't there no mercy rule put in place?
Well, the mercy rule would have been put in place had the team not rallied 11 runs or whatever it was in one of the innings. So then it made it not such. It was still lopsided, but it wasn't such a lopsided score. They're learning how to play.
Now they're playing a full 9 innings, or are they doing what reasonable communities do and only play 7?
9 innings.
Oh my God!
Yeah, it's like worse than watching one of those like ultra long Red Sox Yankees game where no fights break out. It's just one of those, the boring. I wouldn't say boring. It's not a boring thing because you're watching kids develop and do all that stuff. But it's just one of those drawn out.
I know.
2 hours. You know what I mean? 2 hours. Everything should be capped at 2 hours when it comes to something like that.
When my kids were swimming, sometimes those swim meets could go as long, anywhere between 3 to 5 hours.
Yeah, I'm actually glad I don't have that gymnastics or dance or any of that stuff to go to.
It's dreadful, and the kids love it. It's a wonderful thing. It's a great way to stay in shape. But when your kid's in race number 5 and race number 87 and nothing in between, that's a long damn day.
Yeah, but you know what? They're doing something that they love.
Yeah, me too. Sweating by a pool.
That used to happen with the wrestling tournaments. I used to encourage my parents to leave. I'm like, just go home. This is gonna be like an all day thing here. I wasn't getting much support from him anyway. So what the hell is different?
I was going to ask you about. I'm trying to imagine your dad.
Yeah.
At a kid's sporting event.
Oh, he was itching for a Bud Heavy by 11 a.m., and this thing was going on till 7. I'm like, Dad, I know you need to go home and drink, so just go.
He must have had some pregame activities before bringing you to your football game or your wrestling match.
I don't think he did the pregame thing. He didn't bring the to-go or the pregame thing to the games.
Oh, because he was a responsible adult?
He would just leave early. Well, anytime we would even go to a sporting event, I remember going to the Syracuse Chiefs games, the baseball games with them.
Mm-hmm.
We'd leave at the 6.5 inning to beat the traffic.
At 6.5 innings?
Yeah. What traffic? There's 8 people here. It's a minor league baseball team that's not very popular. What kind of traffic are you anticipating getting out of here?
There's 300 people in the stands, and you're worried about traffic.
Oh, we had to wait 2 minutes at the traffic light on the way out. But I used to encourage them because that's a long day of sports, and these people, I don't envy these people who get their kids into these competitive dance things or these competitive gymnastic things where they go not only is it a 12-hour day of gymnastics or whatever thing you're doing, but it's also the travel time to get there because some of these places aren't just always local. They're 3 hours away. So you got to spend a whole weekend doing soccer tournaments and things like that. It's how much I don't know. To me, it just seems like too much.
Well, I know plenty of families. I'm sure you know plenty of families who do this too, where they'll have a kid who's not just playing soccer.
Multiple sports.
He's playing soccer on 2 or 3 different teams.
Yeah.
Or they're playing 2 or 3 different games in a day. As a kid, I didn't want to play 1 game a day. The idea of sticking around to play 2. Oh, my Lord.
Well, a lot of these things are parental forced. You're going to play. I think a sensible person would be like, you don't have to play on 3 different teams.
No.
You can play on 1.
I hate to break it to you. For a lot of you parents that overschedule your kids athletically, the likelihood that your kid is going to get a full boat college scholarship because of what they're doing on the soccer field.
There's plenty of that.
I know, because they all think that.
Why?
My kid is the best soccer, U10 soccer player in the country.
Okay.
That kid, they assume the kid's going to get a college scholarship. That's why he's playing on 3 different teams. But by the time he's 18 and ready to go off to college, he's already had 3 surgeries on his knees and 1 on his hip. So you're telling me that there's professional opportunities here?
I think there's a lot of people who, obviously if the kid wants to do it, then, the kid can do it.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of kids out there that you see, and you can tell by sitting on the sidelines, that kid doesn't even want to be here. But yet there's the enthusiasm is just,
I know.
You got to get them pumped up.
I always enjoyed watching, the parents that get really fired up on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Like they'd be yelling and screaming at their kid, yelling and screaming at the coach or the other coach, the referees.
Whatever,
It didn't matter.
Well, there's a lot to be said about that.
My parents never had any false delusions about my athletic abilities. I made that abundantly clear that I was not the most coordinated, agile fella on the team.
Yeah.
There was never any false thought that a college athletic scholarship was coming my way. Ever.
Yeah, I never had that in me either.
I didn't even have an academic scholarship, being funneled my way either.
No,
No,
nothing for the Baxy.
we had.
You know a lot about sports, though. Is it more because you're an observer rather than a participator?
That's exactly what it is. It's so much better to watch than it is to do.
Yeah.
Anyway, I did receive some community scholarships coming out of high school. One from the town dump. This is true.
Yeah.
Town dump gave me like a little bit of money for college, and then also there was like a vacuum company.
Oh.
Two things that I would never do.
What, vacuum?
Vacuum or throw things away. I was like a 16-year-old hoarder at the time.
Yeah, I'm a hoarder. I wouldn't do any of these things. Why are you giving me money? It's just encouragement, little Mikey.
Yeah. The irony of all of that at the time was abundantly clear. There were no full boat scholarships coming my way.
Yeah, but I can't see. I guess I would do it if my kid was into it. But to spend like an entire weekend somewhere just watching soccer games or just watching softball games or just watching, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And does the kid really enjoy it, or are
they just trying to satisfy you as the parent because it makes you happy?
Yeah. I think you're onto something, Sienna Pumpkinhead.
See, I've seen it a bunch of ways. I mean, I've seen it where like the kid may have talent and excel, but by the time they're like 12, they're like so burnt out of playing, their sport that they're like at some point they stop being good because they're like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's too much. Just want to do what Mr. Bax and Nagle did, which was sit on the couch and watch cartoons all day and pretend to study.
Which is nothing wrong with that.
If there was a college degree in watching cartoons, I'd have a PhD by now.
See, I have free-range children. I just kind of let them do whatever they want.
And they do.
And listen, if you can make money for me out of it somehow, someday, then I will gladly accept your talent.
Yeah.
But until then, you better find something you like doing.
See, I like my kids' approach. I asked them, "Hey, would you want to do this? Nah. Would you want to do this? I don't think so."
Yeah.
I had one kid that had the initiative that said, "Yeah, I think I want to swim." Okay. And then our youngest daughter decided, well, maybe I'll swim for a while. But even she said, "Yeah, I think I'm all good."
Well, and I'm one of those people who would be like, okay, listen, you can do whatever you want to. You can participate in whatever you want to participate in, but if you make a commitment for at least a season, you have to finish the season. You can't just quit like halfway through. You got to at least follow through and make the commitment. And if you don't want to do it again, then you don't have to do it again.
That's a good lesson.
Yeah, because because you shouldn't force somebody to do something they don't want to do.
Yeah, that's what adulthood's about.
Yes, that's why I'm here. I'm being forced to be here every morning.
Hey, I've been here for 30 years. You think I wanted to?
Yeah, I think actually you wanted to.
You don't think I would have wanted to try something else or do something I'd probably be more qualified for?
What would that have been?
I don't know. I mean,
you're not qualified for anything else.
I'm not even qualified for this.
You're not qualified for anything but just to make sweeping generalizations and snap judgments about other people you don't know.
And yet 30 years into it, they still haven't come to their senses.
That's right.
It's 7:23 on Rock 102. Still on Rock 102.
Yeah, we just had a lady call, and she was absolutely right about that. These kids who get into these sports that are pushed into it by their parents and are just so adamant about bringing them to every single game. It's almost like their shortcomings. They didn't get to be as far as where they wanted to be in their life, so they go extra hard on their kids, which is kind of unfortunate.
But it happens all the time.
Yeah, it does happen. Yeah. Hey, listen, I tried the alcoholism thing. I didn't get nearly as far as that guy did.
Well, he was just better at it than you.
Why can't you be more like your brother?
Hey, this week on Bax's Musical Podcast, my guest has been Lauren Molinaire from the band The Dogs, and there's a new band called the Slamdanistas. They got a brand new record coming out later on this month on the 25th. It's really, really good. Very interesting interview. But next week, this one I'm really excited about. I'll be talking to Alison Moyet. This is a woman who has sold more than 23 million albums across the world. She's the former lead singer of the band Yaz or Yazoo, depending on where you're from. But she's going to be coming to Big Night Live in Boston on May 3rd. She got a brand new record out that came out in October. She's only doing like a handful of interviews in North America because she rarely grants interviews, and for whatever reason, she agreed to talk to me. That interview is amazing, and she'll be talking to me. You'll be able to hear that interview on Monday on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, the Rock 102 YouTube channel, rock102.com, and on the app. It's all brought to you by Metro, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram and Chicopee and Rock 102. One of the great voices of the 80s. Amazing singer. So, looking forward to that.
Looking forward to it.
Yes.
What's your favorite singer from the 80s?
Well, Alison Moyet is pretty far up there. She's amazing.
I don't know. I would have thought that Pat Benatar would have been an answer.
Well, yeah, Pat Benatar is classically trained, a beautiful voice. There's no question about it.
Hit me with your best shot.
I got it. I hear you. I hear you.
Shadows of the Night.
Except, Steve, when I heard Alison Moyet for the first time in 1983 and heard that voice, I'm like, what in God's name was that? I got to hear that again. It was like one of those epiphanies I had at a young age.
Yeah. Thank God your parents pushed all that music on you.
Yeah, they didn't. I did it myself.
I took this up on my own. I wasn't listening to Mitch Miller and the gang one more damn time.
Listen, if I had to create my own musical taste based on all that goofy 60s folk music that my parents used to listen to, I would not have gotten very far in this business. I can tell you that right now.
Good times.
7:29 news. 7:33 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102. It's time for news brought to you by Gary Rome Hyundai. Technicians get up to a $5,000 sign-on bonus right now. Learn more at GaryRomeHyundai.com/family. His local radio icon, Steve Nagle.
Thanks, Bax. The vice president of the Buffalo, New York chapter of Bikers Against Child Abuse was arrested Wednesday for sex crimes against children, according to state police. 49-year-old John Todaro of Amherst, New York, not Amherst, Mass.,
right,
was allegedly found to be in possession of child pornography following an internet crimes against children investigation. He was also disseminating child pornography, officials said. Police say Todaro would have had opportunities to be around children in his role. He was charged with promoting a sexual performance by a child and whatever. It's disgusting. They reached out to the Buffalo chapter of Bikers Against Child Abuse for comment, but did not receive an immediate response. It's always seemingly something, like that Jared from Subway. He started those programs specifically for youth.
Yeah.
And he did so as a guise of nutrition and health to have access to children.
But like I said before, these guys are such master manipulators of people.
Yeah.
That when Jared Fogel's doing these youth things, no one's thinking twice because for whatever reason he's in a very predatory, manipulating way, he's made it seem like, well, these are just normal activities. Even though from outside you would say, well, that guy's kind of creepy. But from the inside, you're like, no, he's one of us. I'm sure the same thing about this guy in Buffalo. It's like, probably the people close to him probably said, we never saw this coming.
But it's really unfortunate because there are lots of good organizations out there that do in fact help youth and help kids and in a positive way.
Yep.
And not all of them are predators, but this is what makes it look bad for the other organizations out there that actually do a good thing when you got some guy like this, screwing up the organization. Yeah. I don't know.
The whole thing is a bad thing.
Well, remember it was the Mothers Against Drunk Driving? Wasn't that lady? Didn't she get a DUI?
I think she did.
Yeah.
But that's, but that's a little bit different in the sense that, she wasn't being predatory about it.
She was
just made him a stupid mistake.
Right. Yeah, this is a hell of a lot worse.
Yeah, this guy's a lot more insidious.
A second man was in Chicopee District Court Wednesday morning in connection with the deadly hit-and-run crash back in February. Jerameldo Lopez is charged with 2 felonies, leaving the scene of personal injury and death and negligent operation of a motor vehicle. The judge entered a not guilty plea on his behalf. In Chicopee District Court on Wednesday morning, the Commonwealth requested a $30,000 cash bail and a condition for no driving. The defense stated that Lopez is working and living paycheck to paycheck compared to the bail of Tuesday's arraignment with the other suspect, Levanta Williams Jr., which the judge decided to be $2,500. Williams is charged with leaving the scene of personal injury and death. However, his lawyer said there are many issues with the case and said in an interview after the arraignment that his client is cooperating with law enforcement and tried to do what was right that night by stopping and flagging down people to help. The victim, 34-year-old Vanessa Perez, was not only struck by a sedan allegedly driven by Williams, but a separate vehicle before. Through the investigation, it was revealed that earlier on, a little further up the road, Miss Perez had been struck by a Ford F-550 with essentially a V-shaped plow. Police were able to learn that through the city's surveillance system. There is surveillance video of that vehicle striking Miss Perez as she crossed Abbey Memorial Drive along Broadway. The prosecution showed that video to the judge in the court Wednesday morning. His attorney is also saying that Lopez's license has already been suspended. The judge ordered a $10,000 cash bail and that he is not allowed to operate a motor vehicle.
A Ford F-550. That's
the big.
That's
giant,
the big one.
That's like the dumper pickup truck.
Yeah,
like the one with the thing on the back with the carry all the salt and the thing. That's
a big truck.
It is, and I don't. We don't know all these circumstances. It must have been snowing that night. It sounds like.
I don't know.
Bradley International Airport is bracing for a busy April vacation period. The Connecticut Airport Authority said that between April 9th and April 20th, an estimated 121,000 people would depart from the airport in Windsor Locks.
121,000 people.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
Am I crazy? Is that a lot of people?
Bradley International Airport is ready to handle the influx of passengers who will be taken to the skies, said Michael Shea, executive director. Thanks to our growing list of nonstop flights, it's no surprise we are expecting another busy period of travel. The Connecticut Airport Authority recommended that travelers be in the terminal ready to go through security 90 minutes before their flights. It said the busiest travel times would be between 4 a.m. and 7 a.m., That's when a number of flights depart in the span of a few hours. It also told people to check parking availability before they leave for Bradley. More information on Bradley services can be found on its website. All right.
I mean, you check.
Yeah.
You do this right. I mean, you're not one of these guys that's following that TikTok trend where they're showing up 15 minutes before the flight takes off.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
You're not one of those weirdos, right?
No. I told you a couple of years ago, a guy tried to bribe me $20 so he could get in the TSA line ahead of everybody else. And
Why was he so important?
Because he was going to miss his flight. And I'm like, you should have been here earlier. I don't know.
Did he check his bags in?
Yeah.
He's not going to miss his flight.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
I said they know that you're at the security desk. They know you're here. I've been on plenty of flights where they've been, the thing doesn't leave right away, and there's always somebody running in through the last minute.
Yeah.
At the door, even after everybody's been boarded.
Somebody at the airport bar didn't hear the flight instructions yet. They haven't heard their boarding instructions.
Oh, they're flying high.
Yeah, no kidding.
A suspect has been arrested in Hadley following an FBI raid on his house on Tuesday. That man, Jacob Miller, appeared before a judge at Springfield Federal Court on Wednesday. The FBI said that the suspect was released from custody with conditions, one of which being allowed to allow the state to remove any hazardous materials from his house as soon as possible. One of those is to allow the state to remove any hazardous materials from his house as soon as possible. They're so nice, they said it twice. But is one of those conditions to allow the state to remove any hazardous materials from his house as soon as possible?
No, but one of the conditions is to remove some of those materials from the house as soon as possible.
Yeah, but it's going to be real hard if one of those conditions is to allow the state to remove any hazardous materials from his house as soon as possible.
Yeah, but only if the state allows. What did they remove from this guy's house?
That's what I don't know. The federal raid happened on Hockenham Road, Hockenham Tour. Spit on that thing in Hadley on Tuesday. According to the affidavit, the suspect,
right,
on Hockenham Road, the suspect, Jacob Miller, is in his early 40s. He's been charged with one count of unlawful possession of firearms and ammunition. The Western Mass News crew saw dozens of law enforcement vehicles in the area, but did they see the state removing any hazardous materials from the house as soon as possible?
I don't know. This is the first I'm hearing of it.
The affidavit states back in 2004, Miller was convicted of one count of possession of child pornography as well as 2 counts of possession of an explosive device. He probably had bomb-making materials, I'm guessing.
And stuff to read.
Yeah, he was sentenced to serve 2.5 years in prison, followed by 7 years of probation, which was extended and finally ended in 2019. During the raid, agents discovered a box of 50 rounds of Federal brand American Eagle 45 Auto 230 grain ammunition inside a bedroom's bedside table. That sounds like
It's a redundant, and then
a bedroom's bedside table. That sounds like something on the BBC.
That sounds like being scared or feared for your cattle cows.
And now back to a bedroom's bedside table with Alex Bird.
Yes. I shall kill you until you are dead.
There were 15 rounds of ammunition when that box was found. Agents had also located a safe in a hallway closet, which then became the subject of another search warrant. And inside the bedroom's bedside table was the ability for the state to remove any hazardous materials from his house as soon as possible.
I'll be taking a warm bath in the bathroom by the bathtub.
When it was executed, agents saw multiple firearms in the safe. A Remington Model 514, a J. Stevens Arms Company single gun, a Remington Sportsmaster Model 511, an O.F. Mossberg & Sons 44B, one gun from the Marlin Family Firearms Company, and a Remington Model 12C 22 rifle.
And a machete.
And a machete. That's what it was. He macheted his pants right then and there, which is why the state was allowed to come in and remove any hazardous material from the home as soon as possible. And that is inside a bedroom's bedside table on the BBC.
SCTV used to have this bit called it was called the redundancy theater, and they would do all that kind of stuff where they just the bedside table and the bedroom.
Hey, listen, this guy's facing some pretty serious charges, but it's the fact that who wrote the story. Like, these kids know who wrote this story, what all of these firearms are. Why don't you just say handguns and rifles? Why can't you just say that without going into because they're just reading the list probably from the FBI possession thing, right?
Is it any wonder why Rich Tennemer can't wait to get out of there?
I can't handle this. You don't even. Do you even know what a J. Stevens Arms Company single gun and a Remington Sportsmaster Model 511 or an O.F. Mossberg & Sons 44B? Do you even know what that is?
Listen, I was trained by qualified journalists like the late Cy Becker, and he would never have gone that road.
No, he would have just said multiple firearms.
He's got guns in the house.
He's got guns in there. He would never say, he's got a Remington Sportsmaster Model 511 and an O.F. Mossberg & Sons 44B.
Let's take another look at the gun.
No, look at the shootings. And one from the Marlin Family Firearms Company. What is that? I don't even know. Why would you even put that in a story?
You've already wasted a few sentences with redundant sentences. Why not just go say they got guns?
Honestly, the only person that's going to know any of this is like a gun enthusiast or somebody who knows about firearms. For the rest of the schmucks that watch any of this news channel, it's you could just say firearm, multiple firearms, rifles, handguns, whatever. You don't have to go into this list of things. And that is Inside a Bedroom's Bedside Table here on Western Mass News.
Anyhow,
your Pioneer Valley forecast today is going to be cloudy for the most part, and then mix of sun and clouds, or actually mix of sun and clouds now, then cloudy for the rest of the day. High of 52. Tomorrow, mix of rain and snow possible. High of 49. It's 31 right now in downtown Springfield. I'm Steve Nagle, and that's the news on Rock 102. Aw, yeah.
Munson Savings Bank is ready to...
Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 7:51, and Zeppelin with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Mostly cloudy for the rest of the day with a high of 52. Tomorrow, mix of rain and possibly snow with a high of 48. It's 31 right now in downtown Springfield.
We got Joe...
Lancourt.
Joe Lancourt. Thank you very much. He's a guy from Agawam, just on Jeopardy, and did
That's
not
actually how he answered the questions, just the way you just pronounced it.
Who is Joe Lancourt?
Yeah, who's Joe? Yeah.
Anyway, he was on Jeopardy. He did not win, but it was kind of an odd way to go out, and no fault of his own. I don't think I could have answered those questions either in the form of a question, and we'll be talking to him in just a few minutes.
Okay. We're looking forward to that. Couple of things here before we get to the big giveaway.
Yeah.
I guess if you say. This thing about music. You ever been at a business and heard the music being played in the background and go, I'd be crazy if I had to work here all day.
Every single day of my life.
I believe that's what people say when they come in here.
Every time I have to hear one of our competing radio stations at a place of employment, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't get that.
If I get to hear like Krista Berg's Lady in Red somewhere,
yeah,
we're off to a bad day. Or country music.
My dentist office is a perfect example of that. They play WMAS in there. And even though they're fans of Rock 102, which is weird. But I guess you can't play Inagata DeVito while somebody's getting their tooth drilled. You'd rather hear Peebo Bryson and what's her name? A Whole New World.
To be honest, I'd almost rather hear our overplayed classic rock than be drilled while I'm having to listen to Hall & Oates or whatever.
Who would you rather have hard dental work under the guise of? Tom Petty or Christopher Cross?
See, Tom Petty every time. And I love Christopher Cross. I celebrate his entire catalog. But I think when it comes to like dentistry and having a tooth extracted, I'd rather listen to Tom Petty.
What if you get caught between the moon and New York City?
If that's the best that I can do.
Well, it's fall in love, right? A new study has found that bad background music at work can destroy employees' moods and productivity. That is abundantly clear here.
Which is the reason why the radio station is not played in any office or any room.
Of course, bad music is subjective, but even if it's upbeat and customer friendly, it can be mentally draining to the workers if it's not what they like to listen to. Think about the holidays. Employees who enjoy Christmas music can seem much more engaged and pleasant than the ones who are one all I want for Christmas away from a psychotic episode, right? But big corporate places probably won't change anything, but small businesses can benefit by allowing the staff to pick their own music within reason or by creating quiet zones where they're able to escape the madness.
Can you imagine working in a place where you're stuck listening to that radio station that plays nothing but Christmas music for 30 days?
Oh, yeah. Every day.
Yeah. For 8 hours a day.
That would drive me nuts.
I listen, peace on earth and goodwill towards men.
Yeah.
Screw that.
You know, you're talking about postal workers going nuts.
Yeah, I know.
People who have to have the 9 to 5 no repeat Christmas workday all day.
Oh,
yeah,
how awful! Dreadful.
There is something to be said about what kind of music being played at a business would make me want to either go in there or not go in there. You know who has a really good playlist?
Who?
The casino.
You know what? Yeah, sometimes they do.
And I had asked this to the brass down there. I was like, who does your music? And I was told it was this guy who does it for the corporate MGM that goes in and he picks these playlists. I mean, they play everything from like my favorite Police song is "Can't Stand Losing You." I think that's a great tune.
Sure.
As far as pop hits go, if you're going to play. not pop hits, but you know what I'm saying, like hits from a band.
Sure.
Like they were playing that in there the one day. They were playing all these songs that like you don't typically hear on a radio, but are very catchy. So I thought it was designed very well on how they do that.
Well, in a case like a casino, they have to play music that's palatable because they don't want you to leave.
Right, but it hits everybody.
I know.
It's not just one song for one genre of music. It's many songs from many different genres of music, and they're actually listenable songs.
If I were at Mohegan Sun,
Yeah.
okay, just for example, and all of a sudden Grandma got run over by a reindeer from Elmo and Patsy got played.
That's it. I'd rip my slot dollars out of the machine so fast and be out in the parking lot before you get...
I don't care how deep into the casino I would be. I would bolt for the door as fast as possible. That's what I would do.
I would too.
Hey, it is a Thunderbird Thursday. The Thunderbirds are going to be home Friday night, tomorrow night, against the Belleville Senators. We happen to have a 4-pack of tickets to that game, along with 4 hats and 4 koozies. Of course, all the remaining home games, I believe, are, if they're not sold out, they're damn close to it. So now's a great opportunity to see them just before they head into the playoffs. And 10th caller right now, 293-1021, gets to win all of that stuff. Hats, koozies, and tickets to tomorrow night's game at the Mass Mutual Center. Good luck.
And you know what? You can park, even though that parking garage is open, you can still park at MGM and walk through and listen to the great music they have before you hit the game.
Take your pick. You can park wherever you damn well please
right.
now. Good luck on Rock 102.
Everyone has a project they want to finish.
And now, Bax's View from the Couch, brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware, Benjamin Moore Paint, Cabot Stains, plus rock-solid painting advice and expertise.
Hey, good morning, sports fans. How the heck are you? Folks, if you'll indulge me while I step away from the everyday standard presentation of this award-winning radio feature, I would like to make a public service announcement instead. As you know, this Saturday was to have been the victory celebration for the UConn women's basketball team in their 12th national championship. That celebration was to have begun on Saturday morning at 11:30 in Hartford. Well, I hope none of you people made any plans, because I regret to inform you that due to the threat of inclement weather, the victory parade has now been moved to Sunday afternoon at 1. According to the forecast, the city of Hartford is expecting showers early in the morning, turning to steady rain later in the day. You could expect 80% chance of rain with potential heavy showers and steady northeasterly winds reaching anywhere between 10 and 15 miles an hour, with temperatures dipping down to the low 40s. Our extended weather forecast calling for 50% chance of light rain to continue early Sunday morning, but you can look for otherwise cloudy skies with temperatures in the low 50s by the afternoon. Now, just like they predicted for Saturday, the parade is still set to begin at the Capitol building at 1 o'clock at Trinity and Elm. The parade will then shoot north through the Memorial Arch, take a right to Jewel to Trumbull, bang a left towards Asylum Street, and right there in front of the XL Center. Why they're not taking Trinity to Ford past the intersection of Pearl to Asylum, or take Jewel to Uccello to Asylum without even taking on Trumbull, I will never know. But no one ever bothers to ask me my opinion on how to get around. Either way, I thought you should know about these changes. That way you can make the proper arrangements to reschedule your binge drinking and vandalism activities accordingly, since you now have a full extra day to plan ahead. Either way, you might want to take an umbrella and prepare to dress warmly out there just in case. We'll take a look at the 5-day forecast coming up a little bit later on this hour. But hey, enough of my yapping. Sports brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware. You know, when you were talking grass, the name that should come to mind is Scott's. Scott's 4-Step, Scott's Turf Builder. You want to go to Rocky's, spend $150 on any Scott's product, you'll get a $25 bonus reward. Details at any Rocky's store or at Rockies.com. I'm Bax. That's my view from the couch.
Rock 102.
Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 8:11, and the Scorpions with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Going to be mix of sun and clouds to start, then cloudy for the rest of the day, high of 52. It's 31 right now in downtown Springfield.
You know, we talked about this the other day. Joe Lincourt from Agawam was recently on Jeopardy Tuesday night. And although he didn't walk away with a bundle of money, he still got to be on Jeopardy and did pretty well for a good long time until, of course, it all fell apart. But he's in the studio with us right now. Joe, congratulations. Good to see you. Welcome
Thank
back.
Thank you. Good morning. I actually lost money in overall between the flight and the hotel room. So.
Well, that's all right.
Well, I mean, you got the chance to go out and do it, though.
It's true.
So just tell us it, because, you know, I mean, we see people from time to time from this area go on these game shows. How did you even want to be on Jeopardy to begin with?
So it's been something I've been watching the show pretty much my entire life, as far as I can remember. And then once you're 18, you can start trying out for the show. I think I probably really got into it 10, 15 years ago, taking the online tests. They're pretty mum about how the process works, but you take the test online. If you pass it, they call you. You take another test, they pass it, or you pass it, they call you. You go to a couple brief interviews on Zoom at this point now, and then they just ask if you want to be on the show. So the whole process was, I would say, well, between the first test I passed, about 6 months, and then they tell you can be in the pool of contestants for about 2 years.
But you have to make arrangements to get out there and be out there.
They don't pay a dime.
Really? They don't give you anything?
Nothing. No, there's a slight discount on the hotel, but that's about
whatever
it.
happened to the condo? You get rice-a-roni, the San Francisco
No
treat?
lovely parting gifts?
I'll be eating some for the next year after losing all that money.
I bet.
Now, you were telling us off the air. So this episode aired Tuesday, but this was actually filmed back in February.
Yes, it was February 24th we actually filmed the show.
And you were also telling us about that they're recording not just one episode a day. I mean, that's like a whole bundle of episodes. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that day they filmed 6 shows. I was the third show on that day. Then there was 3 others after me. And pretty much what you see is what you get from the filming. There's not a lot of post-production. There's about 15 minutes between the end of episode or the first episode and then the filming of the second. So the returning champ goes on. He changes in the green room, does what he has to do, and we're back filming in 10, 15 minutes, I would say.
Now, I think everybody, when they're watching the TV show, when they're watching Jeopardy, they're all answering the questions like, this is easy. You can answer every question on this show. I'd be a perfect contestant. It's a whole lot different than when you're playing the home version on TV, as opposed to when you're actually in the studio, you're on the set, and you're doing it that way. It's a totally different game when you're actually involved in it.
Yeah, nerves definitely played a factor. I mean, I think the first half of the show I was blacked out. I'm not even sure. I got a daily double wrong at one point, and I don't even remember what the category was.
Did you have a daily double before you took the?
I know. I should have.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah,
I should have.
I believe the question was in this novel. Chapter 10 is the shell and the glasses, and number 12, cry of the hunters.
Yeah. And I would have known now if I heard it was from my couch, but at that point I didn't even hear the question.
It was the Lord of the Flies for those of you that never read the book.
So that's what I was getting at. I mean, obviously, like, you can be really good sitting at home, and I'm sure your family probably encouraged you all these years, going, "Oh, Joey, you should go on Jeopardy. You're so good." Your cousin is shaking her head that that didn't happen.
No, we're more of a we'd like to see the other fail family, but that's good.
All right.
Oh, it's that kind of family. That's good.
No, everyone was really proud of me. It was a great experience. But yeah, I mean, watching it from the couch is 100% different experience than actually being up there on the stage. They give you a little prep time. You do play a quick mock game before you get on there to get a feel for the buzzer and everything, but the buzzer's the big part.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
Is it were you pushing it at some point and going, why isn't this working?
They give you a prompt to start ringing in. If you go too early, you're locked out. So everyone's trying to ring in. If you're on the show, you should know the majority of these answers. So everyone's trying to ring in, and it's just kind of luck of the draw. You got to get the timing down. So it's a huge advantage for the returning champ. He's already been up there for a while. Hopefully they got the nerves out of their system by that point. But, by the time you get, I was in the red very quick before I realized that I was playing Jeopardy.
Do the clues come up in front of you on the screen?
Yeah, the whole thing. So if you're watching the show, the whole screen becomes the question.
Okay.
So it's gigantic.
What about the one that you're writing on at the end? Is
that one's it's about this computer monitor size. It's pretty easy to write it down, but
and then you lost it on the Daily Double.
I sure did.
I'm reading this article from TVInsider.com where it says the National Road was also called this for the Maryland city where construction began in 1811 heading west. And you answered Silver Springs. Would you have Stevie Nicks on your mind?
No, I was just trying to name any city in Baltimore or any city in Maryland that wasn't Baltimore.
I'm sorry, the answer was Cumberland Road, and then you lost it.
Lost it all. I had to save enough to get to Final Jeopardy.
How do you face your family coming back from a loss like that, Joe?
There was about 80 of us at the ICC watching it at the same time. Yeah.
Now, when
they all saw the soul leave my body at the same time.
Now, when you're there and you give the answer and you place your bet and you're ready to go and you realize I just lost a lot of money and then you hear the answer. Did you know the answer once you heard it? And like, how could I'm so stupid. How could I not know that?
That one, not so much. Once I heard it, I was like, okay, I was thinking, Cumberland Gap, that type of that area down there. But because that one was just, I have even the people in the green room I was with, a lot of them had no idea.
I wouldn't know that. I don't care how much money was on the line. I would never have gotten that one right.
There was a guy from Maryland that was in the green room with us. He said, we've never heard it called the National Road. I guess it's called the Cumberland Turnpike down there or something like that, but they had never heard of it called that before.
I mean, how do
no excuses.
Other than watching the show for years, how do you actually prepare to be on the show? Do they give you any inkling of what the subjects are going to be?
No, they don't give you any foresight on any of the questions categories like that. It's just you can watch old shows. They have archives of all the old questions. You can kind of get a pattern of what they tend to ask or what categories they lean towards. There's all sorts of statistics and stuff that people put together on the internet. It's pretty crazy how intense some of the people are.
But you were saying after the show you did know the category potent potables.
Oh, I sure did. Yeah, that was the first thing we wanted to do.
What about anal bum covers? 500, Alex.
I think maybe if I had a couple before the show, I would have maybe not have been as nervous.
This is Joe.
My background's bar trivia. So
this is Joe Lincourt from Agawam. So the show airs on Tuesday. I assume you hadn't seen any of this since February when it was first recorded. But what was your thought as you're watching this all over again?
I thought again, some of the questions I don't remember being asked. When I was like, I don't remember getting that one wrong. But it was. I've never been on TV before, so it was a pretty cool experience just to see myself up there. We were with all friends and family at the Irish Cultural Center in West Springfield watching it, so it was good to see the turnout.
We were talking about the money before and how much it cost you. $3,600 you wind up netting. Do you actually get that money?
No, the winner gets everything that they earn. Second place gets $3,000. Third place gets $2,000.
So they don't even give you the $600 on top of that?
No. They don't give you. No, those are points considered to them.
Not money. What a sham!
They would never have dealt with this with a password.
So even if you ended with $100 as the winner, you'd still get $3,000.
Yes.
Okay.
No, as the winner, no. So that's even funnier. So if the winner actually wins $100, they get the $100. Then the second place would actually get $3,000, and third place would get $2,000.
Ooh, that's even.
So if it ended 100-0-0, they would make more money than the winner.
And how much what's the third place get?
$2,000.
Wow, that's actually not bad. That's not a bad deal. But then you spent how much on the hotel and the flight to get out there?
The after parties, the
and it's also probably taxed at a higher rate because it's prize money. It's not,
and it's California. So.
Yeah, of course.
All right.
No, Ken Jennings was the host, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, what was he like?
He was great. I mean, the whole production staff was great. There was the wardrobe lady who was actually talking to me about the Red Lion Inn. She said she used to hang out there back in the day in Stockbridge, West Stockbridge. But yeah, all the production was great. Everybody, the producers, the on-set crew, all the contestants, like again, you watch the show and you think, how do these people get on the show? But when you actually do it, it's a whole different experience than watching it from your couch.
It says people online were shocked by the triple stumpers and the wrong daily double.
So was I.
Yeah, I would imagine so. But they said it was actually one of the more difficult boards that they've had in a while.
Yeah,
too.
The questions did seem difficult. I sat for the next game, and I probably would have preferred that one. But luck of the draw, it is what it is.
Yeah, you don't get to pick and choose.
No, and some of the questions I knew the answers to that I just flubbed them.
Yeah. Now your day job is you are a quality and export compliance manager. That's what it says in the article. Is that what you do?
Yeah, I work for a small aerospace company in Connecticut. So we do, we send a lot of stuff overseas, airplane parts.
What are you, some sort of rocket scientist?
No, not at all. I was a history major.
Did they give you crap at work when you came in the next day after the game and they were like, I think it's loser Lincourt all the way?
I got fired. No. So we can't have these kind of losers on our staff.
Yeah, right. You're making
we only hire three-time champions.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's super small. I used to work for a bigger corporation, but COVID happened and life happened, and then moved to a smaller, easier situation. So it's good though.
Yeah.
It's an office job.
What a hell of an experience, though. I mean, you're a fan of the show. You get to go on. You get to have that experience of seeing not only how it's produced, but participating in it, win or lose. I mean, it's a wonderful experience.
Yeah, I mean, it was anyone that's been on that show or anyone I was with, it's their dream as well. Everyone that wants to be on that show, it just doesn't happen. You have to actually do things to get on that show. So it was a big accomplishment just to be asked to be there and to go there and see how it's all filmed.
Now, are you allowed to try again?
I can't try again. They've been starting something called the Second Chance Tournament that they filmed for people that did well but didn't win. I don't know if I'll get that call back, but it'd be nice to. But yeah, if I don't get that call back,
but can you ever apply? You can never apply. Really?
Never apply again.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they'll let any mouth-breathing dope on The Price is Right. They'll if you go out there 15 times, and they'll still have you back on.
Exactly. I got to go talk to Steve Harvey, see if I can get on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
You should start applying for other games. That's how a lot of people have done that before. There's a lot of people who've been contestants on other game shows. Is there any clause in there that you can't perform on another TV show?
I'll have to reread it, but I don't think so. No. I think just whatever. I think Sony, maybe something. Maybe I can't do another Sony production, but.
Please.
I'll just change my name.
It's easy. It's easy.
Yeah. Loser Lancor, they can't be threatened by that.
There he is, the big loser from Agawam.
No, listen, that's fantastic.
But, in all seriousness, congratulations. I mean, to even make it to the big dance is pretty cool.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you guys for having me on.
Well, we
see you guys every morning. So.
I mean, I would never embarrass myself that you did, but
I wouldn't make it even past the first test.
What about Rock and Roll Jeopardy? We could have done that.
Even still.
They do put you up on a little platform. I'm not the tallest guy in the world, and that guy was 6'7", and so I was probably about 7 inches off the ground.
Wow.
So I was really nervous about just falling off the podium.
Yeah, I would imagine that would be kind of a scary thing.
Yeah,
you're not used to doing that all day. And
no.
that guy was how big?
He was 6'7", probably 350 pounds, I would say. They said he was one of the biggest contestants on since Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully he loses.
Yeah, right. Hopefully he's out of there by now. Joe, it's great to have you. Congratulations. Good, good job. Even though that daily double kind of screwed you, but it's great to have you here.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you,
Joe Lincourt with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102. It's almost 8:28 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Dan Brown has the full forecast for you.
Hey, don't forget the Rock 102 Golf Club. It's back, brought to you by Swing Oil Beer. Get 7 rounds of golf, including cart. With no day or time restrictions and some great area courses like Keeney Park, Brattleboro, Northampton Country Club, and more. $129. That's practically like giving it away. Less than $20 per round. And you can get yours at rock102.com. Makes a great gift for any golfer, and it's all brought to you by Swing Oil Beer. Check out their New England IPA, perfect for the golf course, and Rock 102 Springfield's Classic Rock.
Just a couple of quick hits, if you will, from the Route 10 Tire listener line here. Vanna White was a contestant on The Price is Right before she was on Wheel of Fortune.
Huh.
How about that? Talking about music being played in workplaces.
Yes.
Westfield Bank on Southampton Road in Westfield played today. Played Today Was a Good Day by Ice Cube.
Really?
Now that's a place I'd like to do banking in.
Sure.
You know what? We're friends with Mike Ostrowski from ARA. Perhaps we could get the Wu-Tang Clan being played in the lobby as you walked in there.
Our credit union ain't nothing to mess with.
Yeah. Wu-Tang is forever, and so are our good rates on CDs.
See, that's right. Yeah, absolutely.
And then some other guy said, how do you manage to be so annoying and so funny at the same time? And I just said, talent.
Were they referring to you or me?
I don't know.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
it'd be nice to specify.
Yeah, but people don't sometimes recognize who's speaking.
It's not that hard to figure out.
I like it when I say something ridiculous and then somebody thinks it's your fault that you said it, and then they go off on like what an idiot Bax is, and I'm like, oh, okay, I can live with that.
But you don't correct him and say that wasn't him, it was me.
Well, of course not. I don't want my reputation besmirched.
We got news next to Rock 102.
Here's your Western Mass 10.
8:32 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102. It's time for news. Here's local radio icon Steve Nagle.
Thanks, Bax. The Springfield Board of Police Commissioners voted 5-0 to suspend Officer Justin Perez without pay indefinitely after his April 1st arrest for allegedly sexually assaulting and enticing a teenage girl while a wrestling coach at Summers High School in Connecticut. The 5-member board on Wednesday afternoon voted in executive session and did not report their ultimate decision after the meeting. City Solicitor Stephen Bonaconti said after the meeting the vote was still protected by executive privilege, which runs counter to what the commissioners have reported after prior disciplinary hearings. However, a city source with familiar knowledge of the case told the Republican about the outcome. Insider info.
Okay.
The anonymously listed agenda item from the board, which claims they were created for transparency, lined up with Perez's arrest and subsequent suspension by the police department and post-commission's immediate suspension. Bucking, Special Order 24031, due to the post-commission's suspension of the officer's law enforcement certification on April 3rd. A roll call vote is required. The employee may request the discussion and vote be held in a later open session. Precedents from past hearings, no commissioners were willing to speak after the hearing. He was arrested after a traffic stop in Enfield. He was charged with several crimes, including criminal attempt, risk of injury to a minor, risk of injury to a minor second degree, sexual assault, fourth degree sexual assault, and enticing a minor under 18 by computer. The investigation into Perez began when the student in question disclosed to the team's head coach that Perez was, quote, being weird around her. Well, I think, people always want to see instant justice when you hear about allegations like that again.
Yeah, but we talked about that. That doesn't happen in cases like this.
No, but I don't know. We'll see what happens with that whole thing. One of the two men charged with felonies in connection to a collision that killed a pedestrian in Chicopee in February was ordered held on $10,000 bail on Wednesday. 23-year-old Jerameldo Lopez of South Hadley appeared in Chicopee District Court on April 9th. He pleaded not guilty to charges of leaving the scene of a personal injury or death and negligent operation of a motor vehicle. Judge Brandon Freeman ordered Lopez held on $10,000 cash bail. He's scheduled to appear for a probable cause hearing on May 6th. The pedestrian in the crash, killed in the crash that night on February 9th, was 34-year-old Vanessa Perez, died on the way to the hospital. The call for the collision on Abbey Memorial Drive came in about 7:19 p.m., and officers arrived around 7:45 p.m. The other suspect involved in the incident, Levanta Williams Jr. of Chicopee, was arraigned on Tuesday, and the judge chose $2,500 bail. Williams was charged with leaving the scene of a personal injury or death, and his probable cause hearing was scheduled for May 8th. Neither the Hampden DA's office nor Lopez's lawyer could be reached for comment. Let's see. I don't know. I don't have any other news ready.
There's no other news.
Well, there's other news. I'm trying to find something happier to talk about. We've talked about horrible things this morning.
All right. Well, let me see what's going out there. There's got to be some things.
There's a North Adams man. North Adams man just released from a 2-year prison sentence was arrested for attempting breaking and entering at multiple locations. This is the reason why you were in jail in the first place. That suspect, Christopher Jelly.
Jelly?
Jelly! Could you please pass the jelly? Was seen on closed-circuit television, and witnesses using a rock to smash the front door window of Dave's Package Store on River Street in North Adams Monday morning. Jelly allegedly did the same thing at the Easy Mart on Ashland Street and Whitney's Beverage Shop on American Legion Drive Wednesday morning. Well, he likes his liquor,
I guess.
While officers were investigating the Whitney's shop break-in, the dispatch center received a breaking and entering alarm at the Freight Yard Pub restaurant. Officers found the front door and window had been shattered and several bottles of liquor were stolen. They checked the area and found Jelly. He was arrested and charged with for several break-ins. Jelly was arraigned and pled out to all the charges. The judge ruling he'll be back behind bars for 18 months. Damn. All for a couple of bottles of booze.
I don't use jelly or any of these. I use Vaseline.
I was going to say that would have been a better mix.
Yeah, no kidding. Anyhow,
that was a great song.
Flaming Lips.
Yeah.
Flaming Lips. You don't use jelly.
I know a girl who... What was it? Something about toast?
Yeah. She don't use butter. She don't use cheese. She don't use jelly. Or any of these. She uses Vaseline. They do it better than we do, but you get the point.
They weren't very good singers to begin with.
No, God, no.
No. But I always think, anytime I hear jelly, I always think of the Planner All Fruit commercial. Please pass the Planner All Fruit. Please, could you pass the Planner All Fruit? And they finally get to that rednecky guy. Could you please pass the jelly? And everybody has a heart attack and faints at the table.
People don't really do that.
You don't think so?
No, I think...
Have you ever had Polanerol fruit at your table?
I have, and I'm not ashamed to say I call it jelly.
Somebody wants to know if they toss jelly salad with jelly. I don't know. I've never had jelly in a tossed salad before.
Have you had tossed salad before?
Yeah, usually it's craisins.
Really?
But never jelly. Jelly seems like an odd dressing to be putting on a tossed salad.
I don't know if it's the same kind of tossed salad.
Are you sure about that?
No, but I'm going to guess.
Have you ever put a Welch's on a tossed salad
I've
before?
never welched on a tossed salad.
You never had Wilford Brimley, not Wilford, but what was his name? Willard Scott come out and congratulate you for the Welch's.
If I'm having the
Smuckers,
tossed salad,
Smuckers. It was Smuckers.
Yeah, I was going to
Yeah.
say if I was having the tossed salad, I don't want Willard Scott anywhere near me.
See, I think Smuckers would be a better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Than Welch's.
Agreed.
Yeah. Smuckers on your tossed salad. Do you ever have Smuckers on your tossed salad before?
Not that I can recall.
Are you sure?
I would have to go back.
Could you please pass the Smuckers?
Anywho,
cops arrested a 70-year-old Brenda Deutsch on child abuse charges last weekend. This is from St. Louis. They say she'd been abusing and mistreating a teenage girl she was supposed to be caring for as a foster parent. They're still looking into it, but she may have agreed to give the girl to someone in Texas if they gave her a pet monkey in return. She apparently knew the guy because they both collected exotic animals.
Mm-hmm.
The prosecutor called details of the case heinous and disturbing. And worse, she's fostered more than 200 kids over the course of about 15 years, which is crazy.
And how and what kind of trades were available for those children?
I don't know.
I mean, for a monkey, I listen. I've seen the videos of what some of those monkeys can do. I'd rather have a kid in my house.
I think monkeys are creepy. Like little monkeys.
Wearing like the little pants and stuff.
You know, like have you ever watched the old episodes of Friends with when Marcel the monkey was on, was Ross's monkey?
Oh, I know.
I mean, he was a weird enough dude to have a monkey.
Did you ever see Lancelot Link's Secret Chimp?
Yeah, that's weird.
Weird. I don't think monkeys in the actual jungles of Africa solve crimes.
Anything that's too human-like freaks me out. Like raccoons. You ever see raccoons' hands?
I know.
And they look like human hands.
They do.
It's creepy.
Yeah, they're very. They have great manual dexterity.
Yes, they do, but it's still weird to see them do that when they act like human beings.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want a monkey.
I once saw this documentary about a monkey who befriended a little girl, and this monkey wore very, very large boots, and occasionally they would go exploring this little girl and the monkey, and she'd reach into her backpack and would find clues, and that's what the documentary was all about.
I never saw that one before. I used to read a series of documentary books. What'd you call it? Documentary. Documentary is a movie, right?
Or a series.
A series of this little monkey who was raised by this weird guy in a yellow hat. The monkey was very curious about things.
Yeah. Always finding himself in very strange and unusual situations.
Yeah, getting himself all covered in mud when he wasn't supposed to be out playing in the rain.
Was the monkey's name George?
Oh, you've seen this
yes,
before.
That's the child story, Curious George.
Oh, well, I think you might have been referencing Dora the Explorer.
Yeah, but at least my reference made sense.
All right, I'm glad we had this conversation.
At least my reference wasn't stupid.
I'm glad we had this conversation so we can bring in a serious guest now. Your Pioneer Valley forecast today. It's going to be, I'll tell you, sunny to start, then mix of sun and clouds, and then becoming completely cloudy by this afternoon with a high of 52. Tomorrow, snow and rain possible. High of 48. It's 30 right now in downtown Springfield. I'm Steve Nagle, and that's the news on Rock 102. Oh, yeah.
Munson Savings Bank.
102 Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 8:48 and Sublime with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Coming up on Saturday, April 26th at Minnetonka High School is the Walk, Run, and Remember for Rick's Place. And in the studio with us is the director of Rick's Place, Therese Ross. Good morning, Therese. How are you?
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Now, this is an event that's been going on for a while. We were talking about, that even though that Rick's Place is about, getting over, grief and everything, this is actually a real fun event for people.
Yeah, it's a really fun family event. We are doing it as a 5K and a walk, and it's going to be a beautiful April morning, we hope.
Even if it's not, we still go out and we
rain
do the
or
running.
shine,
yeah,
baby.
And I'll be out there spinning tunes, and we'll be mad. Now we got raffle prizes and stuff like that.
Well, we're doing face painting, and we're going to have Boomer there. And we couldn't do it without supporters like PV Financial Group. And Steve, you coming to be our MC. The community comes together and helps support Rick's Place.
Yeah, I don't do the running thing anymore.
I don't do that part
not
either.
so much about the running part of it anymore. But it is a great event, and it's been growing year after year since we. How many years now?
Yeah, so we're in our 6th year.
6th year.
Wow.
And it gets bigger and bigger every year. I think maybe we had 30 runners the first time.
Way back, yeah. So
And now
we
we're
have
over.
today. I think we had 105 people registered, and actually, thanks for reminding me. So tomorrow morning is the last moment for registering to get a T-shirt. You can register to be a part of the event up till the 26th. But if you want that really nice T-shirt that we have, you got to sign up by tomorrow.
Now, you don't have to run bare-chested, though, right? No one's going bare belly on this thing.
I don't know about that one.
Well, I mean, according to the 16-day forecast, I think it'll be a nice day for running without a shirt on.
Now, there's always somebody, I don't know if they haven't listened to the station enough, but tell us a little bit about what Rick's Place is all about.
Right. So we provide free grief support to children, teens, and their caregivers after the death of someone significant in their life. And we have programs that happen on site in Wilbraham. And then we also run grief support programs in area schools. We do professional development where we go into schools or social service agencies and talk about the impact of grief on young people. And it's really significant, right? We know that a kid and a family, they're not the same people the day after a death that they were the day before a death.
Or 8 years after
Exactly.
that as well too.
Yeah.
I speak freely about how I took my daughters to Rick's Place. I can't say enough good things about the organization, and not only this development of grief. I would say over the course of time, it'll be 8 years this weekend.
Yeah.
For the passing of my wife, and going to those meetings and having other people who are going through the exact same thing for you. And you can have people who die in many different ways, but you're not focused on that. You're focused on everybody going through the same themes of what everybody else is going to. And honestly, I'm still using tools that I remember using in those groups because we don't attend anymore. But you still getting ideas and things, how to work through things this many years later. And I think that's how it's not. I think people want to see an instant gratification sometimes because you're in such despair after something like that happens to you that you don't, and you're looking for answers, but you also wait when a death happens. You don't take somebody. Oh, you're not jumping in the group right now.
Right. Well, so what we do is we typically say to be in the twice a month peer group, we have you wait about 3 months after a death. Because as you may recall, that first 3 months, there is such a fog. Like you don't even know how to tie your shoes.
Yeah, that lasts for about 5 years or so.
Yeah. So the fog gets, yes, that's true. So what we've done to accommodate families who are new to grief is we've started a once a month grief gathering. And so people who may have had a death a month ago can contact us and come to this new to grief experience where they start to recognize there is a community of people who understand what it's like. And you're right, the grief does not go away 8-10 years, but you start to learn how to integrate it. And the coping skills that we talk about, that focus on how do you parent kids who are grieving, especially while you yourself are grieving, those are some really important support pieces that we do.
One of the things that we've talked about when you've been in here over the years is the importance of this, because there are many people that will go through this process of losing someone that's very close to them, and they don't get help, and they don't seek opportunities to deal with this grief, and they just let that hang in there forever. Yep. And it's such an unhealthy place to be that there are things that can go wrong because you're not dealing
Yeah.
with that pain and that loss.
Right. So we talk a lot about the healthy ways of addressing your grief as opposed to the unhealthy choices you can make and your kids can make. And how do you have the conversations with your kids about what are the healthier choices? What are coping strategies that you can put into place? And also, like Steve, you always talk about being a part of that group of adults who are already feeling isolated in their own world because of their loss. They come together, and it doesn't matter what kind of loss you've had. It's a judgment-free zone, and people are there because they want to do the best for their kids and themselves as they're learning to deal with this death.
Right. And it also, just to emphasize that, feelings don't go away about the person that you loved and cared about so much, but you do get to manage it a lot easier as time goes on. We talk about in the groups about telling your story over and over and over again, because eventually you're going to tell the story and you're going to be like, okay, well, I didn't get through that without breaking down into tears again and thing. And you can, there's hope out there. There's hope for how life, because life goes on. Life moves forward. But grief is you're always going to deal with that. But it's how you deal with it, and I think these are the tools that aid a lot of families and members that go to Rick's place.
Yeah, and that's one of the benefits of the group, where people are coming at different stages of their loss. Right. And so if you're very new to loss, you see someone who's 3 or 4 years into their loss, and you're like, oh, they're making it, they're surviving.
Yeah.
I see that I'm going to be able to do that. It doesn't feel like it right now because early on it is so overwhelming.
Right.
But there is that hope.
This is Teresa Ross from Rick's place. I've told you my background. My parents are both therapists, and lots of
good it did him.
It did me no good, but for a lot of people it does. But there are a lot of people out there that are so resistant to getting help because they feel, I don't know if it's a pride thing or whatever it may be, the reasons why they just don't go and seek this out. If you think you're the kind of person, I don't need something like that, it's probably you're the person who needs it the most, because you're not dealing with something that's incredibly painful and life altering. So I mean, to go and to have those experiences of talking with people and amongst people that are sharing the same exact situation that you're dealing with, I mean, it's incredibly helpful. And whether it's about grief or drug addiction or, whatever it may be, depression, whatever it may be, those environments are really, really important for people to really focus on their mental health after something significant happens in their lives.
Yeah, that's that power of peer support, right?
Totally.
So we always say, yes, get counseling, get therapy too. But at the same time, when you're with a group of other people who have similar experiences, it's really a powerful thing. Like, I'm not the only one managing this. My kids aren't the only ones who've got to live without their mom in their life.
But even to go back to the kids, the peer support for them too, it might not seem like anything's really setting in there. And my kids were so young; they were 5 and 6, and now they're teenagers. Now it's starting to come out. Now all of those questions are being answered. And I was told this when I first was going, and I'm like, what? What are you talking about? They don't want to talk about anything? Why do they want to talk about anything? Because they're kids and they deal with it a lot differently than adults do. Because we're so hung up on maybe an instant gratification of this needs to be fixed right away. But again, it's more about the tools that you receive in this support group that help you out later on in the journey of grieving.
Absolutely. And you raise a really important point. Nobody can fix grief, right? There's nothing we can do to fix it. It's learning to live around that hole of loss and figuring out what are the things you need to be able to do to have that capacity to keep doing a good life.
I use humor. I was thinking about coming back to a couple of sessions and writing a good 5 or 10 minutes and trying it out in front of the group.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Funerals, am I kidding you people? Come on, let's go. Yeah.
No, but that's a great point, because there is as much laughter as there are tears at Rick's place, right? We do laugh a lot because this is a group of people who really get it. And, early on, you might feel like, I will never laugh again.
Yeah.
But that changes over time. And when you realize there is a space where people understand the permanence of death and that humor can exist in that space, it's really, really powerful.
Yeah.
The 5K run to benefit Rick's Place is happening on Saturday, April 26th at Minnechaug in Wilbraham.
That's right.
If someone wanted to participate, like you said, there's one more day to sign up for the T-shirt. If someone wants to participate, what should they do?
Hop onto our website, ricksplacema.org, and there's a link there, or you can go to Run Sign Up.
And we'll post this on our Facebook and Instagrams, too.
Great.
So, there you
Thanks.
go.
We hope to see you there. We'll
Always
see you.
good to see you.
Thank you.
It's 8:59 at Rock 102.